folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER. Today I have the latest and greatest coming from Motionrc and Freewing models. This is their latest F-4 Phantom II. This is the 8-cell version of the airplane, and it's also the gray version. And it comes with 2 decal packages, I believe. It comes with the Gray Ghost and the Sundowner, so you can put whatever you want on it. Of course, you can go to Cali Graphics, get whatever decal package you want on this thing. But it's a really sweet 1/11 scale, 90 millimeter 8S powered airplane. So this is going to be pretty sweet overall, guys. I'm going to take the box top off here, and we're going to look at some of the specs that are on the outside of this thing. And we'll take a look inside the box here in just a second. But as we look at the side of this thing, you can see it's the gray plug-and-play version of the airplane. There's not pictures on this box, but there are specs, which I'm going to kind of go over here just a little bit. You can see the wingspan, about 1 meter. Length's about 1.5 meters or so, and you can kind of see the weight there. It is an EPO airplane. Servo-wise, you got 2 9-grams. I'm not sure what those are for, maybe a steering servo and something else. 5 17-gram digital metal servos, probably for the flight controls, and there's a 1 30-gram. I'm taking a wild guess that's probably for the stabilizer in the back for both the elevator halves, because you probably need quite a bit of power to move both of those. And then, of course, it's got landing gear doors on this thing, LED lights all the way around, retracts with, I believe it's got trailing links, but they do absorb the shock. This should be a good grass field airplane, especially with the great landing gear and the power that this plane has. And it also comes with removable missiles and pylons, and we'll show you all that. It's very similar probably to the F-14 I just did. You can see the specs on the 6-cell and the 8-cell version, and you can see it's a 90 millimeter single, 1250 kV outrunner, 150 amp ESC with a 5 amp UBEC. So that's all the specs on the airplane, and you can see right here how it looks with all the everything packed in there. Everything's nicely bagged, everything's nicely packaged. These are the 2 decal sets that I'm going to actually get right into. I'm going to pull these all off. I'm seeing these for the first time, as you guys are seeing these for the first time. And you can see right here, this looks like the Sundowner's paint scheme with shark's teeth. That is pretty sweet. I'd really love to put that on there with the MiGs. But again, I'm probably going to do the Gray Ghost, because we haven't really seen too many of those, and I thought I'd do one in the Gray Ghost stock so everybody can kind of see it. I'll have these plane probably out at Seth and Jonal, hopefully, with the skull and the lightning bolt on it, which is way cool, and the black stripes, so that should all contrast really nicely, and we'll get all these on there. And but aside from that, just taking a look inside the box, you can see your instruction manual right here. 2 wing spars here. Everything's packaged nice. Your vertical wings with servos mounted, all your horns, everything's hinged, landing gear installed. Here's your tail section, which I think is the only part you glue. Your instruction manual, and it looks like everything here is ready to go. So with that, folks, let's just get everything out of the box. I will lay everything out, and we'll take a look at all the parts. Before I get all the parts out of the box, folks, I just wanted to show you how this comes packaged just firsthand. I'm seeing it for the first time, just like you guys are. But they do double up decker all their boxes. I cut the tape at both ends just to pull this off, so you guys can see how this really looks when you get it brand new out of the box. Everything is real nicely packaged overall, with the fuselage right up top, fiberglass nose cone, drop tanks over there. Looks like some missiles and pylons and stuff there. But you can see how nice this thing comes packaged up. So let me get it out of the box now, lay it all out, and we'll take a look at everything. Okay, folks, here's the layout of all the parts that came out of the box, and I can say I'm just about thoroughly high after doing this, because this thing just had that fresh paint smell. They just painted this, slapped it in plastic, threw it in the box, and sent it to America, because it just smells like a brand new paint job, just fresh paint. And it was some seriously fun unboxing therapy getting this thing out of here. I mean, it was just a pleasure getting this thing out of the box. Everything came out real nice. Everything was boxed nicely. Also, as a note, guys, stay tuned to the end of this video, because I'm going to have a little sneak peek, guys, of some of the other items that come with this airplane, or that you can get for this airplane, actually, that are options. And that is like these really nice 3D printed engine cowls and some of the other plastic parts, the engine nozzles, I should say, that come for this airplane. I'm going to show all this stuff at the end so I don't bog down the review here too much in the beginning. But also, hot off the presses, folks, are the new 6,000 milliamp Pro Pack 50Cs for Motionrc. So if you got 6 cells, you got a 6-cell plane, you want 6,000 milliamps, they now have it at Motion. And for this airplane, I'm going to be using 2 of these 6,000 packs. I'm also going to use some 5,000. I'm going to show you a plethora of combinations. So stay tuned at the end of the video, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of battery combinations that you can use on this airplane, so you guys have an idea of the options that you can use on this thing. But for now, folks, sweet airplane coming out of the box. Fuselage here with the fan, ESC, nose gear, all mounted and ready to go. I think the only 2 or 3 parts you glue on this airplane, everything mostly bolts together, is the tail section with the tail servo in there. That just glues on with some contact cement, your tail hook, and I believe some of the hardware, or sorry, hard points for the missiles and stuff, some of those I think do glue on, but most of them just kind of latch off with that latch system that that Freewing's been put on all their airplanes. So, but for the most part, this thing really just does screw together. So you got your fuselage, your tail section, your fiberglass nose cone that just magnets on. You just put that in place, magnets lock it in place. It's pretty awesome. I'll show you that up close. You got your vertical stabilizer and rudder back here. Servo mounted. You do have to put your rods on this thing, but the servos are all mounted everywhere. Nice fit and finish overall. I don't know if you screw or glue that vertical on, but we'll kind of take a look. Horizontal stabilizers right there, stabilators. Those babies have beautiful aluminum fittings in there. I'll show you how that goes on. And then your 2 main wings. Has your suspension landing gear mounted, your servos already mounted, I believe, for your flaps and your ailerons right there. And then submerged style hinges that work beautifully all the way around. I'm going to show you those up close. You got your wing spars, 2 of them right here, and there's a little wire here. I don't know what that's for. That might be a pull through too, but I kind of will see in the instructions what they say. You got 2 drop tanks down here, 4 missiles that latch on and off, 2 hard points. You got a bag of hardware with some glue, okay, but you know, you can go ahead and use the glue, or you can go right to foam tack, which I'm probably going to use foam tack, but there's a little bit of hardware down there, a few screws to get things together, and of course the rods for your flaps, your ailerons, your rudder, all that kind of stuff. And then of course your instruction manual. So this thing is really complete. It's going to go together fast. I'm not sure if I'm going to do an unboxing, or I'm not sure if I'm going to do a building on this airplane or not, because it really may not need an assembly. It looks like it's pretty simple together, but anyway, with that, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the individual parts and get a much closer look at more detail. Okay, the first part to show everybody here is the main fuselage. This thing is massive. F-4 Phantoms have always been very tank-like, and this one is absolutely no exception. It is completely and utterly just a huge fuselage to show you, and I'm going to try to do this without dropping it, which I almost just did, and that would not be good. But I want to show you how this nose cone goes on first and foremost, also so I can get it off and maneuver it better. But that's it, folks. You can see the magnets. It's got a really nice piece of wood in there that lines everything up. You got your rare earth magnets right here, and you can see how that thing just sits in place. You push it in, and voila, the magnets just literally grab it. There, it just grabbed it and holds it into place nicely, and that's it. And it is a fiberglass nose cone, so pretty sweet. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off just so I can maybe maneuver the airplane a little bit. I'm going to do this review a little bit different because the plane gets really long when you start adding stuff like the nose and the tail to it. And that brings me to the tail, and I'm going to show you that first. I'm going to put the nose back on the ground here so I can kind of maneuver this and show this thing to you. You can see how nicely this tail section fits on. I already fitted it on there just to kind of show you how this thing goes in place. That's why I may not do a build on this airplane, because you just put some foam tack on here, you glue this whole thing in, and I think you do have to run your wires a bit, but you can see your carbon rod that's used as a guide. But just foam tack this whole surface, this whole thing right here, and you can see how nicely this entire thing just kind of plugs right in. It just guides itself in. And then your tail hook, which you can see right down there, that's going to glue on here as well. But your whole tail section fits on there just fantastic. And then it makes the slot here, and this is where you're going to run your wires right down in that little hole. That may be what I'm thinking is what that little wire is for. They actually, I think it's a tool, I'm guessing, probably to run that wire through. I actually have wires that I use to run through that already, but it's kind of nice they give you one, I think is what that's for. And then you can see your whole tail section, your vertical stabilizer goes right in here, and it does screw in place, so that's fantastic. So again, just glue this on. You're going to glue that tail section on, you're good to go. You can see right here in this tail section here that glues right in place. That's where your main servo is. You do have access to that. There's a screw there. There's 2 screws there with doublers, and that gets in there. That might be worthy of inspecting and taking a close look at that and make sure that linkage is good before you go out and fly this. It's only 3 screws to get that thing off of there. You might want to make sure your elevator servo was assembled properly at the factory, and the rods, horns, linkages, or whatever is in there is assembled right. Because, you know, when the Chinese are on the assembly line, you know they never ever make mistakes. So you might want to take a look at that, and that's probably what I'll do, is just open that up and just inspect it to make sure all the linkages and all that stuff are put on there right. So, but starting, let's see, I'll start at the back of this thing this time around since I'm here already. You've got your cowls right back there, or I should say your nozzles, and those are literally just a nice painted Lexan plastic, it looks like, just to keep the weight down, but they painted it well, and it's pretty scale, so the details on it's nice. You can see the paint that they applied around there, the silver or the chrome looking paint, that really kind of adds a lot of detail back there, because you know, that's where the exhaust is coming out, that's where the flames are coming out, the afterburners are lighting up, and that's where things are getting hot. So it's nice that they added that little metal ring, that little detail back there. As we go along the top side, you can see the fit and finish of this is pretty darn awesome. I mean, it really has a nice overall finish. And then when we go across the bottom, there's your access hatch for your fan. 2 screws, and you're in there to your 90mm fan. And it looks like, here's your 2. I'm going to use my foot to kind of hold hold the airplane up, but you got 2 screws here that go in with their machine screws that actually go into the wings down there, and I'll show you those wings closer. There's machine threads in there, so it's probably pretty easy to take this wing on and off, and those slots plug right in here. There's 1 spar hole for the spar tube, receiver tube. There's another one there where those plug in, they pass all the way through the airplane, so you have 2 nice spars running through this thing. And then here's your multi-pin connector to join all your linkages. It's a single point contact, really nice. And that's what joins your landing gear, your wing lights, your ailerons, your flaps. So it's just a 1-point connection, really nice. You've got your little wells here for your landing gear, that those join up with your wheel wells on your wing right down there. So it all sort of becomes one. So looks like an overall nice fit and finish all around. Intakes are really sweet all around. You can see the fan blade barely kind of in there. And you can see how nicely the scoops and the intakes are. A little bit of detail here all the way around. Guys, this is probably, I'm surprised, it's actually one of the harder planes for me to maneuver around, because it is a big tank-like fuselage. It's just big, it's fat, but it's very streamlined. Fit and finish is fantastic. Look at the detail. Look at some of the detail on that foam. Look at the cockpit detail. You got your ejection handles up top. There's even some real nice, let's see if I can get, yeah, look at the cockpit detail. They did pretty good. Pretty nice for a just ready to fly or ARF type airplane. And then let me flip this around, get to the nose gear section here. See those landing lights right in there in that door. They did a beautiful job on the nose gear doors for this airplane. And I think if I'm careful, I pulled this open before. Really not good to do that to servos, but for demonstration purposes, I kind of like to show you guys all of that stuff as best I can. Let me flip it around here. But you can see in there your suspension landing gear, servo, the mount is in there. It's all aluminum. It's a compression strut, and it's all servo driven. So really, really nice all the way around. And we'll take a closer look at this, guys, when I do the flight demo. We'll get into closer detail. I'll extend and retract all these for you. But look at the underside of this thing. Just beautiful. Just awesome fit and finish all the way around. And let me see if I can get inside this cockpit. No magnet here. It is a latch type mechanism here, and just push that back. Take the canopy off here. Let's take a look inside the canopy. Looks like they screwed one of the pilots in place. The other guy may just be glued in place. I'm not seeing any ventilation on the canopy, but since it's dark, you do want to keep it out of the sunlight. It's probably not a bad idea overall. So, but you can see in there your landing gear down in there. Looks like the small servos are your retract door and probably your nose wheel steering servo. And then you can see all your wires. There's your center board, motherboard that everything plugs into. And looks like there's your separate BEC, which we do want to glue down or secure down, at least with some Velcro or something like that. And I'll show you that during the flight demo. I'll show you the arrangement of all that stuff. And there's your single battery strap. I usually like to have 2 or 3 straps with a plane like this, since I'm going to be probably maneuvering it pretty hard. And just at first glance, they may or may not hold an 8-cell. Looks like those slots for the strap may need to be farther apart. But it looks like this battery floor unscrews. So we'll take a look at that and see how that goes. I probably will add, right off the bat, just looking at this, probably add a second or third strap, just so I can shift the battery forward and back. But that's the only thing I'm seeing there I might need to add. That's pretty easy to do with a hobby knife. But you can see the ESC goes way back up in there. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, I can kind of see it right back in there. And that's tucked away nicely. But look at the wiring. Wiring's just beautiful. Everything's labeled. You can see landing gear, aileron, throttle. Everything's ready to be plugged in. Receiver will probably get mounted to the sidewall. EC5 connector. Looks like that might be a spark arrestor or something in there. I'm not really sure what that is on the red wire, but we'll take a look at that as we get closer. But overall, real nice. You can see I'll get the canopy back on. It does tongue and groove right up front. We'll go ahead and push that back down, and that locks into place. So really nice overall in the fuselage, guys. Got to give it an A. Just fantastic, but massively huge. This plane will grow up. When you put it together, it will get pretty big. So, but overall, just a fantastic fuselage. The next main part to show you is the wing, and you can see here I went ahead and slid the spars in. There's a thicker spar up front, thinner spar here in the back, and those literally just pass through the fuselage. Here's your screws or your threads I was talking about, all brass fittings, machine type screws that you glue these or that you screw these together with. And just fantastic. I am noting really nice panel lines all around. Also, some little holes here. Looks like there's 3 of them around here. I think those are simply just part of the jigging, okay, for the spars that run through here. Usually those are rectangular. You see a lot of those on the bottom here where the plane can't be seen, or it can't, you don't see the plane as much on the underside, but these are just jigs for the main spars. So there's spars running through this whole thing. So the wing itself is pretty mighty rigid as you move this thing, even where the bend is in the wing, because there is a slight dihedral there at the tip of the wing that gives you a little stability out of that. But overall, super nice fit and finish all the way around. I'm going to go ahead and pull these spar tubes out. You can see these come out nice. If you ever have a tight spar tube, one of these is a little tight, you can't get it in there, just grab some sandpaper and just round the corners, guys, on some sandpaper, and it'll slide in there real easy overall. So I'll put those carbon spars down there, and I can maneuver this a little better. Real nice plastic fitting all the way around, plastic doubler that secures the wing in place here. Also in the back, real nice all the way around. Here's your receiver plug right here for your single point wing connector, or your your single wire cable that connects your lights, landing gear, flaps, and ailerons. Just a single point, and that connects everything. That's the PC board for it. And you can see here your submerged style hinges. You can see these rotate right around a center point. They're all hinged real nicely. Ball links and horns are already installed, and then you can see just how nicely these things rotate right around that center point. And of course they're all painted the right color, proper navy and marine colors with the white control surfaces. Just pretty sweet all the way around. I'm really liking the detail all the way around. You can see your wingtip light that's sure to be super, super bright, so that's going to show up nice at dusk and probably in the daytime. Landing gear is awesome. Can't really retract or extend that for you right now until we get it all plugged in. I'll show you that during the flight demo. But you can see here it's all custom fit. It all just is surfaces all line up nicely. You have a nice big plastic doubler for your gear, nice steel plate that really keep the landing gear mechanism tough. So you have a metal-to-metal, 2 metal-to-metal contacts to keep that thing strong and tough. Also on the inside, you can't see down in there, but it's a trailing link suspension. Nice big wheel, very light. It's also foam, so it's going to be good for grass because it's big, and it's going to be good for pavement because having these foam type wheels that flex a little bit helps slow the airplane down on pavement, so it doesn't just zoom down the runway. You do have to put your rods in place, but other than that, super nice finish all the way around. Beautiful wings on this airplane. The next 2 main parts to show you guys are one of the horizontal stabilizers here and the vertical stabilizer in the rudder. The horizontal is super nice. You can see the beautiful paint they put on this. It is just painted in a multitude of colors. Still smells fresh, guys. They just painted this right out of the box. Finish is beautiful. But what I really like about this is how they ran a spar down here, and they have a really nice plastic doubler with this just fantastic aluminum block, okay, that this thing fits into place with. You have a pretty large set screw there. It looks like a 2.5, 3 millimeter Allen wrench you use to put in there. I think it's maybe 2.5, not 100% sure. And that fits right into the end right there in your tail section where your servos are. And that's a knurled shaft that actually goes in here. So you can adjust those minutely and then tighten your set screw there and get a real nice fine, you know, adjustment of your pitch so you can get both of these equal. It should be good for doing that. And of course, it's nice and tough because it's a big chunk of aluminum back there, because there's a lot of load on this thing, this stabilator, as it's turning, as it's moving up and down. So beautiful job. Probably one of the nicest ones, if not the nicest one I think I've seen on a Phantom model, because I've done some other Phantom model videos and reviews and stuff. This is by far probably the nicest one I've seen. And then we have the vertical stabilizer. Looks like we got to glue on here some pitot tubes or something, I think, that stick forward, some plastic parts. There's a light there on the vertical as well. You can see all submerged style hinge all the way around here on the rudder here, ball link and horn installed, servos ready to go. All you got to do is put the rod on there. And then here you've got your fitting. This is actually hard plastic, so is this. So these two right here, this is going to slide down right into that notch back there, and then you run either 2 screws through each side or 1 all the way through, probably 2 through each side. But overall, super, super nice, guys. This is just high quality parts, nice panel lines all the way around. Just a beautiful job they're doing there at Motionrc and Freewing in just making some beautiful pieces. Okay, the last main parts to show you guys are the drop tanks and the missiles, and buried deep within the bowels of the boxes. I actually missed a couple of, down in the box, I missed a couple of these pylons. First and foremost here to show you the these drop tanks. You do glue this section onto the plane if you're going to use them right into that slot in the wing. They put a piece of plywood in here to make it strong, so that's a good idea. If you want to use your drop tanks, you do have to have this pylon glued and secured into the airplane, but the actual drop tank itself is magnetic. You can see there's a couple pieces of steel here and here, and 2 magnets right in there, rare earth magnets. And you can see that these drop tanks that are huge, okay, these fit right in, and the magnets just lock them in place and they stay in place. So if you do choose to use your drop tanks, this part has to be glued on, but you pop your drop tank off, okay, and you can fly with just that little bit of drag there. It's not too bad if you want to mount your missiles. Probably the first couple flights I do on this plane, I'm not going to have any missiles or drop tanks or bombs or anything on it. But you can see how nicely that thing goes together. I'm going to stick that right back down there, and then I'll show you the missiles, which I assume are sidewinders of some sort. And I missed this little center section that was in the box. You can see how nice these are to take on and off. I think these are the same ones I did on the Tomcat video. Same pylon or removable missile weapon systems things, but these things come right off. And you can see how nicely that this thing glues together. It just kind of fits into place. So these are all so nicely manufactured at the factory. You do glue this bit on, and none of these missiles, if I can get this thing back in place where I had it, none of these have to be permanently secured to the airplane. As you can see here, these just latch right onto the underside of the wing, which I think is right on that inboard pylon, right down there. So you can secure these on when you want them on for static display or for flying with them on. And you can just take them all on and off just whenever you want. So it's nice to be able to do that. Some guys like flying with missiles, some guys don't. If you fly with missiles, you're going to have a little more drag. Okay, you're going to use a little more energy and have a little bit shorter flight time. But the airplane looks great, and with that extra drag, it does help you slow the airplane down easier with a little bit of drag on it. So there's a give or take with these things on there. But overall, just beautiful missiles that they made for this airplane that are included. And the last of the parts to show you here is the little hardware bag, which you can see you've got some self-tamping screws, which I believe are for the rudder. And you've got some machine screws, I think 4 of them are for the wing. And you got 2 set screws, which again I think are a 2 millimeter, you need a 2 millimeter metric nut. They're 3 millimeter or 4 millimeter, I'm not sure, but they're fairly large set screws. They're not the little tiny ones that use a 1.5, which is nice. And those are for your elevators or your stabilators or whatever. And then you got rods here for your ailerons, flaps, rudder, and then your keepers back here. Also some King Boxer Contact Cement, which you can use. However, as usual, guys, I always recommend foam tack. It is pretty much the best stuff around. I usually don't glue anything to foam without it. Here's your pitot tubes and things, your details that go on your vertical stabilizer. A couple ball links there, and then of course they give you some of the shelf liner right here that I think is used for the battery to help keep the battery in place. I usually use my own. This is a small piece, probably not big enough for what I'm going to do with it, but they also nicely have a little list right here, guys, of all the parts and everything that should be included in that bag. So really nice parts bag all the way around. Last but not least is the instruction manual for the F-4 Phantom 2. Wow, that is sweet. Actually, I didn't open this yet. So there are the 2 paint schemes for this airplane. You got your sundowners, really nice coral sea, nice tail on that plane. Wow, look at that. That really makes it visible. And you can see what the top of that looks like. And then, of course, you've got your Marine Corps Gray Ghost, which I'm probably going to do the Gray Ghost. I've always been a fan of the VF-84 with the skull and crossbones. Who knows, maybe we'll turn that into this, but we'll see at a later date. But nice color picture they give you all around. That is pretty slick. But anyway, get into the instruction manual here, and as we flip through it, you can see again all the parts. That was for the camo Air Force version. There's 2 versions of the plane, of course. There is the camo paint job that you can get, and then there is this gray version. So a lot of options here and so forth. They show you how to get the tail on, just pretty much everything we talked about, getting your nose cone on there, your missiles, your wings, screwing your wings on. Talk about rods, horns, and linkages overall. And then you can see the wiring and everything and how you get that together. I'll talk about more of this. Again, I may do a build guide, I may not, because we probably don't need it on this plane. You can see here CG's at 190 millimeters. We'll test that out and talk about it as we fly it. But this plane, I don't think, if I find I'm putting it together and it like needs some things or something, I'll probably then maybe do an assembly. But you really don't need too much of an assembly, I don't think, for this thing. It's pretty straightforward if you follow the instructions overall. You do have flap, aileron, elevator, rudder throws all the way around. They do give you the percentage of highs and low rates and everything, and that's kind of nice to have. They do give you a starting point for the stabilizer, which is really good to have, because sometimes that's sort of a crapshoot when you set that. You sort of don't know what's going to happen overall. But overall, nice instruction manual, real simple, very easy airplane to get together, folks. Again, you're just going to glue your tail on, your little tail hook, snake your wires through there for your vertical. That's going to screw into place. Put your rod and horn on there. That's just going to snap into place. Your 2 stabilators are going to go right back there. 1 set screw each, and those are in place. You might want to inspect that tail cone. Excuse me. And then your wings are going to go right on. 2 spars, 4 screws. Make your connections. You're done. And then your nose cone just goes on with a magnet. So you put your battery, receiver battery in, trim it and tune it, and you go fly. Missiles are optional again, but just overall, just a really nice package all the way around. And now, guys, for the bonus, the thing that we all talked about here that I wanted to show you guys some of the detail on this airplane. Sorry for the delay here, but a lot of plastic parts for this airplane that come with it. And I'm probably going to send mine off to Brandon Moon to detail, because he does a tremendous job. I already talked to him about it. He said, yeah, I can detail that for you, give it some weathering to it. But these are your exhaust nozzles, okay, your 3D printed nozzles that you can buy just to basically just pull the plastic ones off that are on there and put these on it. It just gives you a much nicer scale detail effect. And then they also have these printed parts here for the cockpit set. So you can see all the cockpit pieces, dashboard, instrument panel. So these are options, not something you have to get, but if you are into the scale detail thing, there's your ejection seat handles. You can really paint this up and get some extreme detail. And like I said, I talked to Brandon Moon about it. You can check his channel out. Brandon Moon is the name of his channel, but he does some great detail work, and he's going to detail this up for me, because he really is the master of doing all that stuff. And I'll probably put it in a separate cockpit to show y'all. And look at the instrument panel. It's just pretty much awesome if you want to get into all the scale detail stuff. And then also, guys, they got ladders. Check this out. There's ladders, which probably you paint yellow or silver or something, but really nice if you like the scale detail of having the ladders, and that's what they look like. Ladders to go up to the cockpits for just a scale detail effect. So I'll be getting all these over to Brandon, because Brandon just does a killer job painting this stuff, and that'll make for scale detail on the ground, really making it look good overall. And now for the batteries, guys, you got to check these things out. These are pretty awesome. Motionrc just came out with 6,000 milliamp packs. This is sweet, 50C. So if you guys want more capacity for any of your airplanes, I'm probably going to try these out in the Tomcat too. Now this is an 8-cell airplane, so this is not something that I can use in this particular plane. But they do make these Pro packs also in, oh, I got the wrong battery. There it is. Okay, the 6,000 milliamp, because I got a whole bunch of these things. The 6,000 4 cells as well. Okay, so 50C, 6,000 Pro, 2 of these together. You got your 8-cell. You do need the series connector to get these things together. But I'll be showing you guys this arrangement in the airplane with 6,000 milliamp. But wait, there's more. If you guys want to do this in a 5,000 with 4 cells, so you can still fly your 4-cell airplanes on this. They've got 5,000 60C Pro packs, and these are both 4 cells, so I'm probably going to be running these first. These may be one of the first to actually run in the airplane, because a little bit lighter weight, but it's 5,000 milliamp, should get you through the sky without any problem. And you can just see how nice these are. Actually, I'm going to take something back. Oop, I just dropped something. The parts package actually that came with this airplane, or the what should I say, the hardware package, it came with a set of or it came with a little bit, which I just showed you, of the shelf liner. That's probably to put between the batteries, actually, so when you stick these together and you strap them down, the batteries don't really slide on each other and they stay together. So again, I'm going to be showing you a gamut of batteries for this plane and flying them all in the airplane. But wait, there's still more, okay? If you guys already have, this is a nice thing, if you guys already have the Admiral 5000 6-cell pack, and you guys want to fly an 8-cell airplane like Motion has, look what they got here, a 2-cell 5000. So you can still, I believe, run these in series, okay, and that's going to be showing you, and you can still fly this thing on an 8-cell setup like this and still fly your 6-cell airplanes with the 5000 pack. So really nice versatility that Motionrc has with all of the battery combinations that they have. And again, you need to series these together. But for the most part, it's just nice, guys. They have a tremendous amount of batteries overall. And I'm really digging, guys, these 6,000 packs. And I think a lot of people are going to be into the 6,000 because you just get a little bit extra weight, but you get a lot more flight time out of it. And being a 50C, it's about as light as a 6,000 is probably going to get. And I'll be showing you all these combinations, guys. So stay tuned for the flight videos, guys. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing a build video because it's so simple. But as I start putting it together, if I think, hey, we need to have one, I'll show it to you. But for the most part, I may skip that and go right to the flight demo. So stay in tune, guys, for this video and others. I got the Freewing F-14 Tomcat. We're getting ready to put some more videos out on that. And that thing flying around with different battery and mixing combinations, and a gear improvement you guys are going to like too as well for flying off of grass. So anyway, this is a beautiful airplane, guys. Check this out at Motionrc. This is the 8-cell version of the Gray Ghost Phantom, F-4 Phantom 2 from Freewing. Check it out, guys, at Motionrc. And once again, thanks for stay tuned for the flight videos. Thanks for watching RC Informer, guys. And as always, we'll see you next time.